Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode number 148 of Week in Review. My name is Sean, and on this week's show, we are going to try a drink from the year 2077, and then we will be talking about Cyberpunk 2077, the video game that has the world on fire, and not in a good way. Stick around to find out why. Then we'll take a look at this week's new releases and the streams happening over on twitch.tv/ShaunosaurusRex. But before we talk about Cyberpunk, we must taste Cyberpunk. That doesn't sound great, but it's a close enough bridge to get us from where I was to where I need to go, which is... I left it on the floor instead of putting it on the table, a reasonable place. This Rockstar Cyberpunk 2077 branded Samurai Cola limited edition. It's hard to see because it's hard to even look at in like real life. That limited edition really blends into the design on the back. They just didn't pick a bold enough color. I don't usually drink Rockstar. I don't drink the regular Rockstars. I like the whipped strawberry, the whipped orange, and the frozen lime. Those are the only three that I ever pick. I don't think I've ever had a regular Rockstar. I'm not a big energy drink guy. It has to have a lot of flavor for me to be all that interested in it. But a Cyberpunk 2077 taking over the Rockstar branding has been really interesting because if you spend $1, this was $1.50. If you buy one of these, you can actually get a $1 gift card for Xbox. And initially when I saw that, I was like, wow, you could buy 65 of these for however much that costs. And then you could get $65 in Xbox credits. And then you could buy Cyberpunk for free if you bought 65 of the Cyberpunk branded Rockstar energy drinks. And initially I thought that was really dumb and funny to like make fun of, but it's actually, the more I thought about it, or the more I got brainwashed into thinking this, it's actually not a terrible deal. I drink game fuel like every single morning, and if they gave me $1 for Xbox, $1 Xbox credit or whatever every time I bought a can, I'd be thrilled. I'd buy more game fuel. Not that I need more game fuel, but I'd buy it. And so it's actually not a terrible idea. So you could theoretically just buy 65 of these and get free copy of Cyberpunk. Now, granted, I don't know if there's like a limit on that or anything. Like if you go in and it's like, oh, limit 5 per customer per account or whatever, and you can only get so many. That I don't know because I didn't look into it. But just a thought. I need to go clear out my local stores of these so I can get free copy of Cyberpunk. And I'm actually really curious about this because I like that it's Samurai Cola. It's definitely going to be the Rockstar energy drink, or at least that's what I'm worried about. But I'm hoping that it has enough of a different flavor, or I can't really compare textures, but hopefully it tastes more like, hey, here's this just like kind of weird cola. Even if it just tastes like generic cola, it's still kind of a cool like promotion. It's just a regular 16-ounce can. Let's see. You enter tab codes. I guess it's on the underneath part. We'll find that out together. They can't put it on the top because then everyone would just steal them. Anyway, we'll test it out and we'll see what it is. I hope it's good, but I also wouldn't be surprised if I try it and I just don't ever try another one or drink another one because, I don't, if I don't like it, I'm not going to drink it. I'll go back to my regular Rockstars and my regular precious game fuels with their Call of Duty branding. Okay. Oh, it smells okay. Okay, it smells like cola. It smells like energy drink cola. It definitely doesn't smell like a normal cola, and it has like a very like energy drink tinge to it, because initially when I cracked it open I got like a little whiff and I was like, oh, it smells okay, and then I went in closer and I was like, ooh, that's not great, and then I smelled it the third time and I was like, maybe. Let's see. It definitely has carbonation. I don't know enough about Rockstar to know whether or not the general energy drinks have carbonation, but I do know that like the whipped doesn't really. Oh boy, that feels like it's wrong. I don't think that it is, but it feels like it's wrong. Oh boy. All right. Oh God. Okay. Fourth time, not as big on the smell. Let's give it a taste here. Hmm. uh, what? That is so weird. I am thoroughly unimpressed either way with it. I don't love it. I also don't despise it. Let's try another drink. It definitely has the energy drink tinge to it, but it's not terrible. It's not great. I wouldn't like go out and buy this again. I think if it had more of a cola flavor, I would probably like it, but that's probably more just based on me not really being a big energy drink guy. There are probably a lot of people who drink this and are like, it tastes like too much like cola. I'd rather just drink a regular Rockstar. So I think that's kind of interesting that it floats in this really weird middle ground where it doesn't commit hard enough to either to pull anyone in a particular direction to love or to hate it. Oh, it's very carbonated. It just feels so like fundamentally meh, which is odd. I think I'll drink the rest of this can, but not the most impressive. Not the most impressive drink. I'm kind of disappointed because I wanted to like it more than I do. Because I wanted it to be more of a cola of like, oh, I'm going to buy a couple of these while it's a branding thing and then, forget about it. It doesn't have to be something immaculate like Darkberry, but for it to be this like so thoroughly is very odd. But I don't hate it. So I guess I know what this is. That what the future tastes like? The future just tastes like meh. We're here. It's whatever. We did it. I guess. Hopefully that's not what the game is like. Oh God, what if the game is just like so thoroughly like, whatever. We did it. Hopefully it's better than that. I know in the future if it's better than that or not. As for the cola, This week's game is Cyberpunk 2077. Stop me if you've heard that in the last week. Everyone's talking about Cyberpunk. It's what's hot right now. Only that it's hot for all of the wrong reasons. Cyberpunk 2077 is an absolute mess, and it is a culmination of the last several years of video games all rolled into one disgusting trash fire. But it's not all bad. I will start the review on a positive note because Lord knows it's not going to stay positive for long. There were 3 things that I did enjoy about Cyberpunk 2077 in my limited time with it. I thought I was going to play about 12 hours. I played closer to 8. So I feel like I got a good chunk of it. I feel like I understand what this game is doing. I don't know the story of it. I also don't care about the story of it. But I also understand what I do and don't like about it. And I don't think that additional playing time is really going to help it. So hopefully I can explain that clearly. The 3 things that I do like about it, though, because again, starting positive. Number 1, some of the characters are really cool. Specifically, I really like Jackie. I like his intro where he like shows up and then immediately is like, hey, no harm, no foul. You want to go get some food? Like, we're cool. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. The more I played the game, the more I liked him. I thought he was charismatic and interesting, and I just enjoyed him. I thought he was a very cool character. There's another character whose name I'm blanking on. She works with you to like help you hack. She usually communicates over like telecoms or whatever. I want to say it's like Rex or Vex or something like that. She's cool. She just didn't get a ton of stuff to do in the game just because she is kind of stuck behind the computer, really only communicating with you off screen. She's somewhere else working with you. She was cool. I liked her, but none of the other characters really stuck out all that much. I enjoyed the brain dance sequences, which is thing number 2. I thought it was a really cool mix of like LA Noire detective mode and like the Batman Arkham detective mode kind of mixed together, where you have like various layers and you're trying to put pieces together to figure out where a certain piece is that you're looking for to take part in the heist or to complete the heist that you're trying to do at the beginning of the game. I thought it was really neat. I like the idea of it. I like that there's like a visual component to it and then an audio component to it and then even like a heat signature thermal component to it. And I liked bouncing between those, and I thought they were just really interesting. And I like the way that it was put in the game as well. I just thought it was a very cool and unique thing to it, which is one of the very few cool and very few unique things about this particular game. I also like the way they were integrated into the story and how they worked. I thought they were very neat. And then the last thing I liked was I actually enjoyed the gunplay of it, and I think it has more to do with just what I enjoy visually from a like combat perspective in a first-person shooter, because it's new to me, whereas someone who probably plays more RPGs than I do is a little more used to it. But I love when you're attacking an enemy and there's a health bar and it's like kind of going down, or there's numbers popping all over the place. Borderlands does a very good job with this as well. It's just aesthetically pleasing to me. I like it when you're doing 45, 45, 45, 69 damage and critical hit, and it's like showing all this stuff and you're getting all this visual feedback and you're like, oh, this is like really cool. It's interesting because for as much as I like the brain dance sequences, one of the things I didn't like about the brain dance sequences was how impatient the game was. And that was where things kind of started to take a more negative turn for me, was the game is impatient in its objective marker placing. So if you're looking for something specific, and there are a couple of times where this happens when you get to like the big heist and there's like there's a very tense like time-based sequence where you're like, okay, this guy is coming up the elevator and you need to make sure that you're finding what you need to find or getting hidden or whatever it is. Instead of using the brain dance sequence and taking your knowledge of the layout of the room and applying it to your character that you're currently playing and going like, okay, I think I remember seeing something over here that could help me with this thing over here, the game immediately just throws up an objective marker that's like, oh, it's over here. It's 35 meters over there. It's like really, really quick, and it's odd and jarring and weird and kind of frustrating because I'm like, well, it seems like you, game developer or director, whoever decided to make this decision, you don't trust the player to put 2 and 2 together. Even if it was on a delayed timer of like, we're going to give you 45 seconds to find it. If you don't find it, the other character that's with you, they'll pipe up and say, hey, didn't you tell me it was over in this way? You can get around it super easily, but it's also fun for the player to actually take the things that they have learned about the area that you're in and put them together to solve the question that has been placed in front of you. And this isn't the only time that the game is impatient or interrupts its own flow for no good. This game is heavily tutorialized. Granted, one of the sections of tutorial I did was optional, but there are a lot of tutorials that happen throughout the game. A lot of times where a box will pop up, a text box will pop up to pause the action to let you know something like, you have an iconic weapon and you can craft and build. And I'm like, I don't know what any of this means. I don't know. I don't care. I am in the middle of a firefight. There are 14 dudes here that I'm trying to take care of. And you, right now, have all of a sudden decided that I need to learn about an iconic weapon. I don't even know that I've picked up an iconic weapon because I just keep pushing the same button to pick everything up because I'm like, I would like all of this stuff, please, so I can carry it around with me and make a lot of money selling it to the gunsmith. And you're telling me like I have this thing. I'm like, I don't know. I just don't get it. Also, some of the tutorials, especially the skippable stuff, is seems like the game thinks it's a lot more important or a lot newer to people than it is, but every single one of those tutorials, like whether it's stealth-based or the shooting mechanics or I think there was like 2 other ones, every one of them I was like, I've done this. This is in 87 other games. 87 other games have done this same fucking thing. I understand the concept. Granted, tutorial or optional tutorial, but still kind of annoying when you're like, oh, here's the stealth mechanics. Maybe this has something different to offer that I haven't done in a bunch of other games. And then it's like, mark them. Okay. Well, look out for these lasers on the lights or the cameras. That'll show you where they're going. All right. This isn't new. This doesn't really even need to be tutorialized, but whatever. Part of the problem too with the text boxes that load up on the side of the screen is that it's super laggy and it'll kind of like pop in and then it will disappear and then repop in again because this game is inexcusably buggy. I can't believe that the game was released in this state. It is mind-boggling how bad this game is. Constant texture load in, constant graphical glitches. Multiple times I had characters who were handing me something or supposed to be holding like a gun or whatever, and there just wasn't an object there. The game hard crashed on me one time, reloaded into the game, gave a character who wasn't holding guns before guns this time, and when he was wailing around his hands, which aren't supposed to have guns, he put them towards his head to grab whatever he needed to grab, and the gun just went through the head, so it was poking out the other side. And I was like, wow, what a weird way to ruin an actually pretty cool and interesting moment. And not only in that, but the texture in the background kept trying to load, and it was rendering, and it was weird and odd and awful all at the same time. And several times while I was playing, I had to stop myself and go, no, this is really happening. This is the game that they've decided to release on console that doesn't run for shit and looks like garbage. That's what they have elected to do. I would like to, at this point, make it very clear that I am not personally mad at the developers. They were simply following what they were told. This is squarely on the people above. The directors, the heads of publishing, whatever. Anyone who had like a say-so of like, yeah, it's cool. We'll go ahead and release this game in this state on console. And, by the way, we'll go ahead and have the shittiest fucking review policy that we could possibly have by just giving out PC codes so we can get our precious 90 fucking Metacritic on our game, so we can have advertisements that make it sound like this game is good, but when most players go out and buy it on console, it's going to run like shit. Whoever did that, that's who I'm mad at. That's who I'm frustrated with, and that is why it is so goddamn mind-boggling that this game is such a garbage pile. In addition to the game's impatience and consistent tutorials, I'm not really connecting much with the story. I don't find V to be a terribly interesting character. It seems like the backstory stuff, it seems like it's kind of phoned in to give you this false sense of having some sort of background and connection to Night City when you walk around. But as a new player in the game, I don't know anything, so it's like kind of this odd, it's this thing that feels like it's at odds with itself, where it's like, we're going to give you a backstory, it's not going to really matter, but it kind of matters because they know what they're talking about, but you still don't know what's going on, and it feels like it would just be better to just be like, hey, you're a brand new person here, things go wrong, you're off on your quest. That seems like the better way to do it, but whatever. I don't know. I don't find the story super interesting. It interrupts itself a lot with like very long-winded conversations that aren't always super worthwhile, and I think that the game likes to introduce elements, or specifically the first Johnny Silverhand sequence when he's introduced. By the way, his character fucking sucks. But the first time he's introduced, it seems like they're trying to get you to go like, wow, this is so weird. Like, what's going on here? Should play the game more so that hopefully I can figure out what the fuck's happening, because that's super weird. But instead of it enticing me to play the game more, I sat there going like, I don't know who any of these people are, and I don't care about what's happening, and this is 45 minutes that I could have been doing something else, but instead it's a forced story thing, and then it just doesn't lead anywhere interesting. And for me, especially for me, for someone who has a tendency to drop out of games, let's be honest, I don't know that the game is really going to pay any of this off 15 or 20 hours down the line, and I don't know if I'm going to care at that point when everything comes together and it's like, here's the reason this happened and the reason that he did this and who these people are. I'm just like, I don't fucking care. Like, I've been doing side quests, and that's the weird thing about kind of the open world thing, is this push and pull of like, you have like a time limit to do something sometimes, but it's also like, do whatever, do side quests and side missions and stuff. It's a very odd thing, and I feel like that would be the sort of thing that would really annoy me. It's like I stopped caring about this 10 hours ago because I've been running around doing nothing, and now you're explaining it to me, and I never really cared in the first place, and whatever. So after about 5 hours of the game, I actually paused and paused the stream and left, and I was like, do I really want to play like 3 more hours of this game? Because I had played 2 hours Thursday before the game released. Weirdly enough, Xbox allowed you to change your region to New Zealand time, which unlocked the game because it thought that I moved from the United States to New Zealand in December of 2020. Whatever. So I was able to play the game a little bit earlier. I played for 2 hours, set the bar and the expectations as far as the graphical problems and how just ugly the game looks. Set those expectations, but didn't really improve in the second 3 hours that I played, and I realized I just didn't care and I wasn't really enjoying the game. And I think that this is one of the rare times that the technical issues actually really cause problems and interrupt the game. I've played games that are glitchy, I've played games that are buggy, I've played games that have crashed a bunch, and it's never been that big of a deal. It's frustrating and annoying, but it's never been this distracting from what the game is trying to accomplish. And with the exception of the review stuff, all of this is in the game. All of this is what is on my hard drive, or what was on my hard drive, that I had the problem with. The other issue, or the other interesting thing with this game, is like all the other fires that are going on around it. So I mentioned the review thing. That is a whole ass mess. I think it's despicable. I think it's dishonest. I think it's terrible. I said at the top of this that it was the culmination of the last several years of kind of like the games media sort of thing all coming to a colliding head at the end of 2020. And what I mean by that is, not only is the game a mess, it was released buggy, broken, unfinished, all that stuff. But the review thing is another part of it, but also the online discourse around it has been one of complete and utter frustration, because you have reviewers who are reviewing the game on PC giving it good scores. When the game doesn't get good scores, like it gets a 7 out of 10, which by the way is 70% out of 100, which is a C, which still ranks as good according to that rating scale, you have fanboys coming out of the woodwork who, to be very clear, have not played the game, coming out and yelling and screaming and cursing and sending threats to people and being annoyed that, again, the game they have not played didn't get the precious score that they wanted it to, because it's not a 9.5 or a 10. And this has been a weird thing with the discourse, where it's really shown that game players, specific game players, don't want critical analysis of their games. They just want reviewers to give their precious games 9s and 10s and tell them that, hey, you're okay for liking this. It's going to be pretty fucking sweet when you put it in your PC. The other prong in this discourse portion of this is the aspect of the influencers with the $3,000 PCs telling people to, if they don't like it on PS4 and Xbox One S or X, go buy a PlayStation 5 and an Xbox Series X, or just go buy a gaming PC so you can experience it. Which, cool, fine. If PC is the best way to play Cyberpunk 2077 right now, sweet, great, whatever. I don't care. It should run on the console that I own it for, and that it was advertised for and made for. That, like, how are you not putting these two pieces together? It doesn't make any sense. Also, side note, where the fuck am I going to buy a Series X and a PlayStation 5? Because all the scalpers keep buying them all up. So where am I supposed to go get these magical, mystical consoles that are apparently everywhere and super easy to find? Then you have the aspect of the transphobic content, both outside and in the game. Everything about it is a mess. And then, as if the discourse around the game wasn't bad enough, it got worse when they released their apology on Monday, when they started it with "Dear Gamers," which is the moronic way to start things, and then basically admitted that they knew that the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One version of the game weren't up to snuff, and that they just wanted your money at launch. They also threw in the joke line that I called out in my tweets of, "We'd really like it if you gave us a chance." Motherfucker, I already gave you a chance by spending $60 on it and getting it day one. You fooled me. I felt fucking dumb for buying this game. I felt stupid. I was like, God dang it. Like, I listened to you and I believed you and I spent my money on this game that I thought was going to be good. And this is the pile of crap you gave me. So you had your chance and you blew it. And it blows my mind. And I keep saying that it's shocking and blah, blah, blah. It's mind boggling and I can't believe it and all this stuff. I'm saying it over and over and over again. But you have stepped on so many unnecessary rakes in your front yard over and over and over again for no reason. You have burned so much goodwill. CD Projekt Red, to make it clear, was unfucking touchable after The Witcher 3. People loved it. They gave out free DLC. They supported it forever. Everybody loves the game of the generation, blah, 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 blah. Then they released this mess of a game. Then they released this apology, and it's just, how many times are you going to do the unnecessary dumb thing and keep hurting yourself? And it's been interesting because the discourse has now shifted a little bit less from the my game didn't get a 9 out of 10 or a 10 out of 10, and it's shifted a little bit more towards the, hey, I mean, all the games are buggy. No big deal. Witcher 3 had bugs. They fixed that. This game had bugs. That game had bugs. You're missing the point. The point is that this shouldn't be normalized. If there are two things that this console generation is going to be remembered for, it's going to be the vitriolic, disgusting discourse around the game and the amount of times people have had to say with a straight face, stop sending death threats to developers. And two, people are so fucking willing to just ship out broken games, and you're willing to pay them for the privilege of being a $60 beta tester like I was. That's what this generation is going to be remembered for PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. There are so many games that came out broken. Avengers, Halo the Master Chief Collection. They had to turn off achievements and Sea of Thieves. That's 3 that are off the top of my head. The list is a laundry list long. This game is the culmination of all of that, clustered all together and exploding at the end of a year that has already been an explosion several times over. It is truly, in all of the worst ways, a mind-boggling garbage pile. And all of this is surrounding a game that's not really all that great. It's self-important, it thinks it's way more interesting than it is, and it runs terribly. It's a bad game just on its own merits, and everything that's surrounding it is making it 10 times worse. In fact, I sat here for a couple of days thinking, like, do I even really want to, review this game? Do I want to talk about this game at all and put my thoughts out there on the internet? And I came down on yes, because there are very real, severe problems with this game. And I think that with everything kind of skewed the way it is towards the PC, more people like myself who played it on console should be speaking up. I'm disappointed with the game. I'm frustrated with the game. I'm frustrated with the situations surrounding it. I think it's despicable and terrible that they released this game in this state. And I think that the game that is in the midst of all of this isn't even that good. Cyberpunk is a game that you don't even have to play, not only because it's running poorly, which means, please, dear God, don't go buy this game, but I don't think it offers really all that much that's interesting anyway. It's a game that has been in development for so long that any idea of it being revolutionary or brand new is gone right out the window. You see that from the gameplay I talked about a little bit, but the shooting mechanics we've seen in Borderlands, we've seen stealth mechanics in hundreds of games. Hitman springs to mind immediately. We've seen melee combat. There's nothing in this game that is new or interesting. It's just a world that looks cool because it's the cyberpunk visual style that catches people's eyes. That's definitely why I was excited about it, because people were so high on The Witcher. I thought, hey, cyberpunk, that speaks my language a little bit more. I like more of a sci-fi cyber future more than a traditional RPG. Oh God, what's the term for it? Lord of the Ringsian sort of fantasy. That's the word. I couldn't think of the word fantasy. That high fantasy thing doesn't really work for me, so I was much more curious with this. And boy, do I feel regretful for buying this game. But I guess to end on a positive note, my refund went through, so I'll be seeing that cash back in my account shortly. Finally, on this week's show, we'll take a look at this week's new releases, starting with the Blu-ray, and the big one is Tenet. This was my most anticipated movie of the year, of the quarter, of when it came out. I think it was supposed to come out in July. I kept getting its date pushed around. I was hoping to see it in the theaters. That never happened, so now I'll have to catch it on home media, and that is available this week. As far as the games are concerned, there aren't a ton of releases. Fall Guys Season 3 started yesterday when this video posts, and then Gears 5 has a new expansion that's available on Xbox Game Pass, but aside from that, it was a lot of little stuff. However, speaking of Xbox Game Pass, there are a bunch of games coming to the service this week, including a couple of day and date releases that were part of some of the smaller games in the list that I looked at and was like, not really anything sticking out to me, but it's on Game Pass, so that is a cool addition. It's always good to see the day and date games come to the service, just like when PlayStation Plus gets something like Fall Guys. that's very nice. As far as the streams are concerned, thankfully it is, a slow week of game releases. We can catch up on some stuff, and that is what the streams are going to be about this week. Thursday, we're going to be playing Twin Mirror. I was going to play it a couple weeks ago. Things didn't go well, didn't play it. Now is its time to shine. That'll be the entire stream on Thursday. We should be able to get through it. That game is about 6 hours from what I was reading, and it seems like it's pretty linear, so that should help us get through that game. The other game we're going to be playing, and this is going to be Friday, is going to be Call of the Sea. I'm very excited about this game because I like the aesthetic of it, and I like the idea of kind of like a puzzle adventure game. However, it scares me because it's a puzzle adventure game, and sometimes I can really struggle with logic problems. So the goal is to complete this game from what the 2 reviews that I browsed through, or more realistically hit Control F and then typed in the word hours to see how long it took the reviewer to get through the game. Said that it was about 4 to 5 hours. I'm assuming that I will be on the higher side of that just because I struggle with puzzles and logic puzzles and stuff like that, but it sounds like it's a really good game. It's getting some good scores. I'm very excited about it. It's available on Xbox Game Pass, and hopefully we'll get all the way through that. If I do get stuck, maybe I'll bounce to something else and come back to it later and see if I can figure it out from there. But that's the plan. Thursday, 2 p.m. Pacific time, Twin Mirror, start to finish. Friday, Call of the Sea, 2 p.m. Pacific time, start to finish. Sunday, we'll be back in Bus Simulator. We have one more mission before we get to the map expansion and the new area, so we're really chipping through this and getting close to the end. I feel like I've been saying that for about 4 weeks now. And then Monday, we have a new episode of Mystery Bag Monday. Head on over to twitter.com/ShaunosaurusRex. Look through my tweets, and you can find the poll there to vote on what you would like to see. We're through 9 episodes. Each bag has gone 3 times. Each bag has 2 episodes left. We'll see what runs out first, and then we'll cycle in a new set. Thank you so much for watching this week's episode of Week in Review. If you like the content, you can scroll on down and you can hit that subscribe button. Ring that bell so you're notified when I post new videos. You can scroll down a little further and you can let me know your thoughts on Cyberpunk 2077, the game. You can tell me if you agree with what I said, if you disagreed, why you disagreed. Whatever, leave a comment down below. You can also let me know if you tried the drink, the Cyber Samurai Soda, Samurai Cola, that's what it's called. And you can tell me if you like it or not. Be sure to check out the streams over on twitch.tv/ShaunosaurusRex on Thursday, Friday, Sunday, and Monday. And as always, check back each and every week for more Week in Review. We'll see you next week.